Body dysmorphic disorder, often called BDD, is a mental health condition that causes a person to focus intensely on small or imagined imperfections in their appearance. These perceived flaws may be invisible to others, yet to the person affected, they seem large or disfiguring. Someone with BDD might spend hours checking their reflection, comparing themselves to others, or trying to fix what they believe is wrong. Reassurance from friends or loved ones rarely helps for long. BDD isn't about vanity. It's a painful and misunderstood disorder that can interfere with relationships, work, and daily life. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing not your true reflection, but what your mind tells you is there. For people with BDD, that image can become a battlefield between perception and reality, one that often leaves deep emotional scars. How common is it? Body dysmorphic disorder is more common than most people realize. Studies show that about 2 to 3% of adults live with it. That might sound small, but across a population, it represents millions of individuals worldwide. Many suffer in silence because they're embarrassed or afraid others won't understand. They may assume their concern is superficial, when in truth, it's a recognized mental health condition that can cause intense distress. BDD often begins in the late teenage years or early adulthood, a time when people start paying more attention to their physical image and social standing. Without treatment, the disorder can last for many years and deeply affect mental health, relationships, and self-esteem. How does BDD develop? There isn't a single cause of body dysmorphic disorder. Instead, it arises from a mix of biological, psychological, and social influences that combine in complex ways. Some people are born with a brain more prone to anxiety or obsessive thinking. Others have personality traits like perfectionism or sensitivity to criticism. When these traits meet a society obsessed with appearance, the perfect conditions for BDD can form. The brain and biology research shows that people with BDD often process visual information differently. Most people see their face as a whole, but someone with BDD tends to zoom in on tiny details, a bump on the nose, a mark on the skin, and lose sight of the overall picture. Brain scans reveal that areas involved in detailed visual processing are unusually active, while regions that handle broader perception are less so. Emotional centers of the brain, such as the amygdala, may also be overactive. This makes minor imperfections feel threatening or shameful. Other areas, like the orbitofrontal cortex and caudate nucleus, play roles in repetitive thoughts and behaviors, explaining why checking mirrors or seeking reassurance becomes so hard to resist. Brain chemistry also matters. People with BDD often respond well to medications that affect serotonin, a chemical that regulates mood and anxiety. Specifically, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs, a type of antidepressant, help by increasing serotonin activity in the brain. This boost can reduce anxiety and obsessive thinking, giving people the mental space to benefit from therapy. Personality and thinking patterns. Certain personality traits make some individuals more vulnerable to developing BDD. Many describe themselves as perfectionists, people who set impossible standards and feel crushed when they fall short. Others tie their self-worth directly to how they appear. In their minds, any imperfection equals failure. People with BDD often think in extremes. If I'm not attractive, I'm worthless. These harsh beliefs become automatic and self-reinforcing. Past experiences, such as teasing or rejection about appearance, can make these thoughts even stronger. Over time, the brain gets trained to focus on flaws, much like a habit that becomes second nature. Society and culture. Modern culture adds even more pressure. Everywhere we look, in movies, ads, and especially on social media, we see edited, filtered, or airbrushed images of perfect bodies. Even when we know those pictures are fake, our brains still compare. Constant exposure to unrealistic beauty standards can make almost anyone feel inadequate. For people with BDD, that comparison becomes overwhelming. Society often sends the message that appearance defines worth or success. In families where looks are heavily praised or criticized, children may grow up believing that how they appear determines who they are. Painful experiences like bullying or rejection can then strengthen that belief. Over time, the outside world's expectations merge with the person's inner fears, forming a powerful and destructive mindset. What happens in the brain? Neuroscience research helps explain why BDD feels so real. When people with the disorder look at themselves, their brains send mixed messages. The visual system locks onto tiny details, while the emotional centers signal alarm or disgust. The parts of the brain responsible for logic and perspective have trouble calming those signals. The result is a distorted image that feels completely true to the person experiencing it. Chemical messengers like serotonin are often less active, which may explain why anxiety and obsessive thoughts are so strong. Some research also suggests differences in oxytocin, a hormone that influences how we read facial expressions. This could explain why someone with BDD might see neutral or friendly faces as judgmental or mocking. In short, the BDD brain is not broken, but it processes information in a way that creates a convincing illusion, one that the mind struggles to escape. The daily and emotional impact. Living with BDD can be exhausting. Many people spend hours thinking about or checking their appearance each day. Some look in mirrors constantly, others avoid them entirely. They may use makeup, clothing, or hairstyles to hide certain features, or take dozens of photos trying to see if they look right. Over time, this constant self-monitoring can drain both energy and confidence. Daily life narrows. Work, relationships, and social activities become difficult. People may cancel plans or avoid being seen altogether. What began as a private worry turns into isolation and loneliness. Emotionally, the toll is heavy. BDD often brings deep sadness, anxiety, and self-doubt. Many feel trapped inside a painful loop, believing they look wrong, trying to fix it, feeling worse when nothing changes, and starting again. Depression is common, and the risk of self-injury is significantly higher among people with BDD. That's why it's essential to take the disorder seriously and seek professional help early. Treatment and recovery. While BDD can feel hopeless, treatment offers real relief. The most effective approach combines therapy, medication, and compassionate support. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is the leading form of treatment. It helps people identify and challenge distorted beliefs about their looks. Through gradual steps, they learn to reduce checking behaviors and face feared situations, like going out without hiding the perceived flaw. Over time, the brain learns that these fears are false alarms, and the obsessive cycle weakens. Medication can also help, especially selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs. These medications adjust serotonin activity in the brain, reducing obsessive thoughts and anxiety. Support from loved ones makes a powerful difference. When family and friends understand that BDD is a mental health condition, not vanity or overreaction, they can offer patience instead of frustration. Simple acts of understanding help reduce shame and build trust. Healthy routines like good sleep, balanced nutrition, exercise, and limited social media exposure can also support recovery. As treatment progresses, people often spend less time checking and more time living. They start to see themselves as complete individuals, not a collection of flaws. Relationships improve, confidence returns, and daily life expands again. The most important step is realizing that the problem doesn't lie in the body, but in the way the brain interprets it. Once that truth is understood, healing can begin. Raising awareness about BDD helps break stigma and saves lives. When people understand that appearance-focused distress can be a symptom of a real disorder, they are more likely to seek help instead of hiding in shame. Awareness also prevents unnecessary cosmetic procedures, which rarely solve the problem because the issue is psychological, not physical. Our culture often measures worth by beauty. Learning about BDD challenges that belief. It reminds us that self-worth should come from character, not appearance. Compassion, education, and access to mental health care can make recovery possible for anyone affected. Healing from BDD isn't about changing how you look. It's about learning to see yourself through kinder, truer eyes.